a communist Prussian officer that fought for the Union during the American Civil War and challenged Karl Marx for a duel. This life, of course, is more interesting than yours. The most impressive thing you'll see in your life probably is Breaking Bad. Today we're covering the formidable life of Johann August Ernst von wIllich. The man was born in November 19, 1810 in East Prussia. Born into a military family, his father was a Prussian captain during the Napoleonic Wars. He would soon die and leave 3-year-old wIllich fatherless. A theologian and philosopher named Friedrich Schleiermacher adopted him. His new father gave him a deep education in the classical works that would for sure shape his republican beliefs in the future. When he became a teenager, he would enroll on a military academy, but in 1846 he would leave the army and would discard the von from his name to disassociate with his noble origin because of his radical republican beliefs. And if you know something about math, you know that 1846 is just 2 years away from 1848. And then, if you know something about history, you know what 1848 means. It's the revolutions of 1848 that started in Sicily and then to the rest of Europe, with the main objective of ending absolute monarchy and establish a new liberal democratic order in the continent. August wIllich, who started drifting his initial beliefs on republicanism and liberalism to the communist cause, joined the Communist League that were partaking on the revolutionary cause in Germany. wIllich would lead an irregular army of workers with Friedrich Engels during the Baden campaign and the Palatinate uprising, both unsuccessful. He fled to Switzerland, then to France, and then to the UK, alongside some other communists from the Communist League. But then something happened, a schism within the League. You see, according to Marx, a revolution is preceded by economical struggle. That was the case for the 1848 revolution, when an economic crisis happened in 1847. But after the failure of the revolution, the economic situation wasn't as bad as before. And according to Marx, they should wait until another economic crisis to start another revolution. August wIllich, however, believed that Marx was too conservative. I know, right? And said that instead of them waiting until another economic crisis, they should search for funds and guns and enforce a revolution. Thus, two factions emerged inside the Communist League. The Marx-Engels one and the wIllich-Schapper the other. Schapper was another prominent leader of the League that thought as wIllich, by the way. Then in 1850, when an emissary of the League that was sent from England to strengthen the ties with the remaining communists in Germanic lands, was caught carrying papers with the names of 11 of his comrades, a trial was conducted by the Prussian government, and 7 of the 11 communists were sentenced to prison. After that, the Communist League disbanded, but the beef between Marx and wIllich would not end. Both would write pamphlets, dissing one and the other. Then, at the height of their enmity, August wIllich challenged Karl Marx for a duel. The latter declined, but his friend Konrad Schramm decided to challenge wIllich in the name of Marx. The duel took place in Belgium, and being of military career, of course that August won the duel. Eventually, wIllich would leave the UK for New York, and then went to Cincinnati, where he started editing a German-language socialist newspaper. When the Civil War broke out, his newspaper was a large influence for gathering the German communities to fight for the Union. wIllich himself joined the 9th Ohio Infantry Regiment and quickly rose through the ranks and became a major. By the way, his regiment would be known as the Ohio Hegelians because of their socialistic beliefs, as many of them were 48ers. With the 9th Ohio, he saw action at the Battle of Rich Mountain. However, his work with the Ohio Regiment would be short-lived, as the governor of Indiana gave him the rank of colonel of the 32nd Indiana Regiment, its soldiers being mainly Germans. On April 7, 1862, he would lead the 32nd during the Battle of Shiloh, the bloodiest battle in American history up to that date, where he displayed remarkable bravery. After that, he would be given the command of the Horn Brigade and be promoted to Brigadier General. However, during the Battle of Stones River in 1862, he was captured by the Confederate forces and sent to Libby Prison in Richmond, Virginia. He would be released as an exchange between officers in 1863. When he returned to the front, he participated in the Tullahoma campaign in Confederate Tennessee. On their way to Chattanooga, wIllich pushed for the capture of Liberty Gap. He would also fight at the Battle of Chickamauga and during the Siege of Chattanooga. He would be promoted to Major General and would fight at the Atlanta campaign, until he would get wounded at the Battle of Resaca and left the action for good, working at a military post in Cincinnati until the remaining of the Civil War. After the Civil War ended, wIllich would try to work as a county auditor in Cincinnati, which lasted 3 years until he left to offer his military services to the Kaiser to fight for Prussia during the Franco-Prussian War. He was declined on the grounds of age. wIllich would then return to the United States and take up a residency in Ohio, where he would live until the remaining of his days. So there you have it, the formidable life of a man that really lived through and influenced the events of his century. Oh, and he had a petrochem. I think that was important to say.